From wherever you are around the world, welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be exploring method acting. Method acting with Dr. Mario Begedy-Stein. He is a professor of film at Miami-Dade College. Let's welcome to the circle, Dr. Begedy-Stein. How are you, sir?
Very well, and I'm very happy to be here, Carlos.
Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Begedy-Stein wrote this wonderful book called The Actor's Studio in Hollywood in the 1950s. So I classify him as an expert when it comes to method acting, but I want to find out what is method acting, where did it come from? So let's ask him. Professor, where did it come from?
Okay, I have to go back a little bit in history, but at the turn of the 19th into 20th century, theater playwrights started developing original works that were very realistic. You have Anton Chekhov and Strindberg, whose plays were no longer, epic historical dramas and things of great proportions, but rather they were intimate and dealing with characterization. So a new style of acting really was required at that time in order to put on those plays and achieve the goal of making them believable. So basically, it all goes back to a man named Konstantin Stanislavski at the Moscow Art Theater in the very early 1900s. By 1910, he had already begun codifying approaches to acting, to this new type of acting, and he wrote a book called An Actor Prepares, which is the basic textbook that's used for so-called method acting. And as a result of that, you have that the actor's role changed completely. Before the Moscow Art Theater and this surge of realism, actors were supposed to, number one, know their lines, number two, speak loud and project so they can be heard, and number three, look good. With method acting, all of that was thrown out. Method actors don't like to remember their lines. They have no interest in projecting their voice. As a matter of fact, they're known for mumbling. That's one of the main complaints about Marlon Brando, the mumblers. And looking good. Method actors totally destroyed the iconography of actors as good-looking royal people and made them look filthy, realistic.
That gives me hope.
T-shirts, yeah.
That gives me hope then.
That's, in a nutshell, what method acting, if you want, I can tell you that the Stanislavski techniques were picked up after the Second World War by Elia Kazan and Lee Strasberg, among others, at the group theater, and they created an organization known as the Actor's Studio. And it's at the Actor's Studio that a whole new generation of American actors who used the method was trained.
Let me ask you this question. I don't want to keep it so generalized on you said they got rid of that original image of acting where you had to look good, you had to memorize the lines. Did the method acting evolve over the last 50 or 60 years to include attractive actors as well? Or are we still getting the same kind of actor?
Actually, what happens is that you have these two parallel lines developing alongside each other. Basically, you get to a point in the early 1900s where either actors accept the realistic, naturalistic new tradition that comes out of the Moscow Art Theater, or they go with the older style of the Royal Shakespeare Company, of Sarah Bernhardt or Laurence Olivier, people from RADA. There's a different approach to the actor's role, how to go about it. So you have those two lines. Today, you have people that will go back and forth, and usually you find that actors who work in the same style, if we can call it a style, they tend to, like to work with the same people who do, you know, who have the same approach to acting.
And are there multiple approaches to acting, or is there just two or three?
No, there's an innumerable approach, many approaches to acting. You have the classically trained person. That would be somebody who follows the British tradition. That's more based on enunciation, projection, not necessarily looking good, but looking impressive. And you have the method actor that we've described. Then you have just naturals. You have people like Jennifer Lawrence, who I think it's an incredible talent. It's someone that when you see her in a movie, you just go, wow, how could she get there? Because she is amazing. I mean, you have to experience her acting, and it's, I don't think her tradition, I don't think her skills come from studying a particular tradition. It comes from innate talent.
Yeah, she is very gifted. So let's start delving into method acting a little bit. I know there's some components of it. I'm not sure if they're unique to method acting, but you can tell us that. First step, what is sense memory?
Sense memory is one of the key exercises that Stanislavski developed, because you got to remember that Stanislavski wants you to become the character. He wants the actor to study the character and not play the character, but become the character, totally absorb the character. So the actor has to draw upon his or her own original emotions and memories from childhood. And this is where a lot of Freudian analysis comes into, overlaps with method acting. So that when the actor is looking at the script and comes to a situation where the character is disturbed or upset and has to cry, the actor is supposed to go back into his own life experiences and remember a time that basically coincides with, what the character in the play is going through at that point in time. But instead of reaching out for the emotions and creating those emotions, Stanislavski says that you have a better chance at finding real emotions if you concentrate on the sensual memories around that moment. So, was it cold? Was it raining? Did you hear traffic far away? All of the, sensory, visual, oral, a whole bunch of memories that you can tap into that will lead into the natural appearance of that emotion. So it's kind of a roundabout way of arriving at the truth of the character at that point in time.
Yeah, really trying to fit in to the environment, to the context of whatever that character's in, huh? Very interesting.
By remembering what you were feeling, but not emotionally, but feeling through your senses, you are able to arrive at that emotion, should we say, organically, without thinking intellectually about it. The tools are the elements around that emotion.
It'd actually be very interesting to do a neuroscience study and to see if they physiologically change. That would be fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to some of my neuroscientist guests and see if we can arrange some of that. That'd be kind of fun.
Hello, my name's Matt, and I'm an addict.
My mom was addicted to prescription pills when I was very young, before I even turned 1.
Are you or someone you know struggling with alcohol or drug addiction? Has everyone given up on you or your loved one? The caring staff at Elite Care understands and treats you as a whole person. We offer individual and group therapy, holistic healing such as yoga, nutrition, and spirituality, medication management, and PTSD treatment. By building upon your strengths and rebuilding broken bonds, we help you begin a successful life. With our staff of licensed psychotherapists and doctors, you can be assured of the highest level of care. Elite Care is the best option for long-term rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol. Contact 888-511-0607 for more information.
What are some examples of the animal exercises, and what is that all about?
That's also another of the classic exercises that are associated with method acting, and not just method acting, but basic actor's training. The idea here is that the actor picks an animal that might be germane to the play in which they're appearing, or the actor is just using this as a workshop exercise. And the first thing the actor's supposed to do is observe the animal, look into the animal's eyes, look at the way the animal moves, how the animal breathes, all the vital signs of the animal, and then recreate. And there's a famous story of involving actor Lee Cobb, who on Broadway played Willie Loman in Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. And Lee Cobb was a very young man at the time, and he was playing a man in his late 60s, early 70s, at the end of his life. And Lee Cobb used an elephant. He studied an elephant for a long time to see how the elephant carried that weight, how the elephant moved, how you could see the sadness and wisdom of the elephant. And by doing that, animal exercise, Lee Cobb arrived at some of the key elements that made his performance an incredible performance.
That's a fantastic story. He's a great actor. He was also in the 12 Angry Men, if I remember correct.
Yes, definitely. Playing a very mean fellow there.
Yeah, not the kindest of guys.
Yeah.
How does out-of-character development work?
Well, when you get a play or a screenplay, a script for a movie, the first thing that an actor is supposed to do is break it into sections that have some kind of unity as to the character. Then you build a biography of the character. In a movie or a play, you have a very small section of a person's life that's being depicted. So the actor is supposed to go back into the past and fill in all the blanks from the time the character was born until the character appears in the play. And after the character is no longer in the play, but the rest of the character's life. Then the motivation. And there are a lot of stories, funny stories about method actors colliding with traditional Hollywood directors. And famous one is Paul Newman and Alfred Hitchcock. During the making of Torn Curtain, and Paul Newman didn't care, for the way Hitchcock was directing him, because Hitchcock was just telling him, just walk over there, look this way, and sit down. And Paul Newman was sick and tired of this sort of mechanical direction, and at one point he said to Hitchcock, yes, but what's my motivation? And Hitchcock answered, the $5 million you'll get at the end of the picture. So that's, it's a running joke. Ingrid Bergman supposedly also said it to Hitchcock. And the best thing I can tell you right now, there's a wonderful movie about method acting indirectly, Birdman, where Ed Norton plays a method actor, the cliched method actor, and he goes through all of these discussions with Michael Keaton, who's playing an actor and director of the play. And the whole thing about the motivation is sort of a running gag. And then finally, the third step for the actor to do this character development is to find the arc, the changes that the character goes through within the play or the movie. Most plays, most good, successful plays have the lead character begin here and end there, changing either their opinions on something, changing their attitudes, or the character going through a change. We're used to finding character development and the arc as being one of the basic elements of drama. So the actor needs to really plot out that arc, that development. Basically those three steps. Biography, motivation, and character arc.
Biography, motivation, and character art.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have 5 minutes left here. We have a fastball question coming up in a little bit, but before we get to the fastball question, last two questions. Does an actor have to be emotionally healthy to do method acting?
I don't know if you did some research on Michael Chekhov, who was the nephew of the playwright Anton Chekhov. And Michael Chekhov began in Russia at the Moscow Art Theater, ended up in Hollywood, acting in quite a few movies, including Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound, where he plays a psychiatrist, interestingly enough. Michael Chekhov got so deeply involved with sense memory when he was a student at the Moscow Art Theater with Stanislavski that he suffered a mental breakdown. He was basically out of commission for 2.5 years, where he became unable to function, supposedly because, he delved too deeply into sense memory, affective memory exercises. I have to tell you, if you are going to begin, and this is not my area of expertise, you know more about this than I do, but if you are going to begin a process of self-examination that takes you back to very primal points in your youth and even before you were born, or we can talk about the wonderful novel and movie by Paddy Chayefsky, Altered States, where you go back and become an ape. I think there's a lot of possibilities or danger that by reverting, and if you do it successfully, maybe you're entering an area, opening a door that is very risky. So, yeah, I would say if you are sensitive to some mental health issues or maybe this is an area that you should shy away from. Yeah, I would say.
Interesting. That's a good advice. Last question before the fastball question. We're down to our last 3 minutes here. Do you think method acting can help individuals outside of Hollywood? Maybe for interviews, maybe for relationships, asking somebody on a date. Can method acting go outside of Hollywood?
No, I don't. I honestly don't think so, because in this case you would have to apply method acting to your own self, or at least to the person that you are projecting. Let's take, for example, this situation that you and I are in now. We are both taping a television show. I prepared for it, but I didn't have to go into sense memory. I didn't have to create a character. The character is me, and what I need to achieve is a degree of relaxation and, should I say, being aware and secure on what I'm going to say. I think that comes from preparation on the content part. I don't have to prove to you that I'm Dr. Mario Begiristain, so-and-so, because, you look me up on the internet, you already knew that coming in. And method acting is a way of creating a character so that the audience believes that what they're seeing is real. So, in our case, we are real, I hope.
I was going to say, I may not be. All right. Are you ready for your fastball question, Professor?
I'm ready. Go for it.
All right. So, I know you're getting ready to retire. Somebody sees the show today and they say, Professor, we have this scene. We need a Cuban to come in and do this scene. It's a kissing scene. You get to pick any actress you want. Which actress would the professor pick?
Oh, I think I already gave it away, Jennifer Lawrence.
All right. Well, that was easy.
Very much enjoyed meeting and kissing.
Thank you so much, Professor, for coming on to the circle.
Oh, my pleasure.
This was really fun. We'd love to have you back and talk more. This show likes to explore human behavior in every facet, and I thought method acting is definitely something about human behavior. Thank you again. Once again, Dr. Begiristain book is The Actors Studio in Hollywood in the 1950s. You definitely want to get it. It's fabulous. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, wherever there's psychology involved, even in method acting, we are there. See you next time, everyone.